Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. It is me, once again, screaming into the void of the internet. Apologize if you hear that wind. It's windy out here. Feels nice and cool, so I decided to just come out here and talk, So, I do have good news. I did get the job. My onboarding was yesterday, Thursday, and I start my first day of training Monday. But I'm going to talk about two things. I'll talk about one in the sense that I saw a video that I'm going to try and find and link, right? So that you can listen to it. And it's essentially about this guy that went into a nice deep depth dive about how ghost jobs ruined the job market. And he goes into a lot of it, like more legally speaking and stuff like that. And I saw another video that I'll also try and find about essentially capitalism and employment and stuff like that. And I think that they're very, very, very educational videos, and they're really worth watching, because even though it doesn't break down everything in a short span of time, like if you have a goddamn attention span, it really breaks it down into very understandable means how companies can do it, and they can do it legally. And one of the ways that they do the ghost jobs legally is the way that the law has done it, and it's intentionally done this because, the people who control the law are the people who make the money. And so what they've done is they basically said any company that intentionally, creates a ghost job essentially gets in trouble. But here's the thing. How does one tell with intent, right? Humans are duplicitous by nature. That's the entire definition of what it means to be deceptive, right? You were leading someone to believe that you were one way when you were leading them another way, right? So how exactly does that work in terms of like posting a job, right? So that's intentionally designed to be there so that companies can do it anyway, because the real thing, like I've always said, that companies do when they're posting these jobs, even if they're not hiring someone, is doing two things. They're dodging taxes and they're collecting data. And then they sell that data, and so they're making profit on you regardless of if you even working there. So technically speaking, right now, when a company is essentially posting a job there, they're essentially hiring, free labor, if you want to think about it. They're getting free labor when they're getting all these applicants just repeatedly, sending in their job applications and all this data, social security cards, all of this stuff, So realistically speaking, it's pretty freaking screwed. And in a lot of instances, I don't really know if it will ever be recoverable, because the only way that it's recoverable is if a lot of people with a lot of money start facing extreme accountability. And we all know that the way that accountability works, especially when it comes down to the law, again, the people with the money are creating the laws and they're making the rules. So it's very unlikely that anything will actually, come of that. So I'm not very hopeful in that scenario. Not at all. But I kind of wanted to talk a lot more about the position. So I'm hired, but something in my mind is still, I don't want to call it fear. It's just concern, because it's not like this is my only hope, but the fact of the matter is I don't really have anything outside of this, And I know how long it took me just to get to this job, right? So I can't imagine what I would do if something were to happen to this. And I think a lot of people who, if you are employed now and you've been in job purgatory, you feel the same. Because this is something where, again, I can actually start, essentially putting the pieces of my life together, to at least have some degree of normalcy, even if that's just me living in a room. But honestly, don't think for a moment that even if I get to that point, that I'll forget where I came from. Guys, I'm still on your side. I still know how it feels every day, just thinking about, listen, I'm applying to jobs and nothing's happening, and I don't really have a different solution, because I didn't do anything different. Someone was just finally willing to give me a chance, and something positive came of it. But it took me a very long time, and I know that for everyone it's different. The only reason I could afford to take this long was because even if my folks aren't necessarily the most reliable people, they still allowed me to stay with them. What if your folks just said, you know what, F it, get out? Like, I don't know. I really don't know the solution to this, especially if you have children involved. If you have children involved, I really don't see how you could not resort to doing illegal things, to just say it politely. I don't see how you could not resort to it, especially like if it was just something like moving certain substances, if you catch my drift, right? I just don't, I don't see how you could not resort to it. No one can afford to be here like this long without it. Like, especially I'm saying this as a man, and because at the end of the day, I don't really care saying this, and I'm going to say this, my videos are targeted mainly towards men, and I'm always going to say this from the male perspective. I don't know what it's like to be a woman, and I'm not going to pretend to try. So, I just have to be real, like, it's very difficult for a single man, in good health, to get help. It's very difficult. Whereas a chick can just say that she needs help, and she's at least able to get food stamps regardless of if she has a kid or not. That's not really the same with us. They don't care. They don't care. It's for us, it's a do or die. They'll sit there and watch us freeze on the sidewalk. They don't care. And that's really hurtful. Because at the end of the day, the biggest people who benefit this economy the most are men. It's men. It's male labor. Male labor has made this entire world into what it is. You can get mad at that. You can try and say that that's sexist or whatever. I don't really give a rat's arse, because at the end of the day, if male labor wasn't what it is, and meant like male participation in general, why are all of these things geared towards you? Think about it for a minute, right? If it's a car commercial, who's in the car? Some good-looking guy and some really good-looking woman. This is the life that you'll have if you get in this car. Look at the freaking cologne commercials. Look at the hair commercials. It's always, a nice, beautiful woman with the guy, because they're advertising, hey, listen, this is what your life is supposed to be. You're supposed to use your money to attract the women and put that money back into this economy so that we benefit. You're supposed to work this job and trade your labor for time and money to essentially get sex. Everything thrown at you is usually to try and sexually arouse you, because sexually aroused men are a lot easier to control, because you're thinking with your dick instead of your head. That's why, like, someone said this a while ago that I listened to, and I think it's true. I think that most of society wants to keep you in a constant state of arousal as a man. Even if you aren't even like looking at that kind of content like that. Like, let's say that you look at some spicy content, but it's like literally just, maybe like, what, twice a week or something like that. You choke the chicken or whatever and you call it a day. But then you get instances where it's like, I've made a new account, essentially, for example, right, on Facebook, because I'm following some comics that I'm probably going to be interested in purchasing now that I, have a job. Right? They're indie comics, by the way, because I really don't support Marvel or DC much anymore, like, and it sucks, but I do like comics, I do like art, and the fact of the matter is, on this new social media, and it's Facebook, by the way, not that I'm trying to say this as like, oh, subscribe to my Facebook. I don't really have anything on there. I just, look at stuff occasionally. I'm not really on Facebook very often, though. So I'm just being suggested, like, all of these random freaking women, just tits in the freaking profile pictures, and I'm sure that some of them are bots, but some of them are actually real. I actually started, like, just clicking on some of them sometimes. It's like, is this just bots or something? But some of them are actually real people, and it's like, I don't know if they're paying Facebook to advertise, like, or something, but the truth of the matter is, like, if they know you got a dick and balls, you just get showered, and I mean showered with like, just sex stuff, like, they try and just throw sex, titties, arse, just right in your face, because they want to get you out of your money. That's really what it's about. It's about trying to get you out of your money, manipulating your sexual desire to get access to your resources. That's really all it boils down to. That's why I'm very happy, personally, that a lot more guys are willing to say, you know what, yeah, I'm horny, yeah, I think she's attractive, but I'm not going to be stupid enough to just spend my money. Unfortunately, you still got simps, but some simps just can't be saved, But I said all this to kind of get back to this point. You know, like, I know what it feels like, guys. And to be honest, I really don't know what the alternative is. You know, like, the only real thing that I can think of is if you do have to work, I think if you can pull it off, maybe you should consider, and I hope that that AC isn't going to be a problem just outside. I'm not that close to it, but, you know, background noise and whatnot. If you can make it work, you know, you and the boys, for example, if you have some close friends, and if you don't have close friends, consider getting some, you know. See about making bachelor pads, dude. You know, like, the truth of the matter is, I don't want to say this as a piece of garbage, but I have to be real, okay? Realistically speaking, the dynamics between men and women has forever been changed. And I don't really know if a lot of us are going to consider marriage, and I don't really think that we should because divorce is too expensive, especially in an economy like this. Trying to put your life together, I'm trying to put my life together now, so I don't really want to think about if I did put it together and then I got divorced. So I don't know if I would still be a free man, let's just say it that, but yeah. So what you should do, maybe, this is only a consideration, maybe try and form bachelor pads. You know what I mean? Because if there aren't going to be females involved, then, you know, forming a bachelor pad, and again, like, just say you're multiple friends and you both, like, live in a house that you only rent the room in, but because you live together, you know, you still obviously know each other, and so it's safer that way, rather than, say, renting an apartment and then it's really expensive or something like that, even though it's still garbage. Because, like I said, let's say, for example, that I rent a room here and the room is $500 to $600. The apartment that, say, my friend rents, right? My friend rents a 2-bedroom back in Miami for $1,800, and I don't know if it's going up, and I wouldn't be surprised if it went up. Whereas, let's say that at most we spent $600 a month on a room, and we both, like, lived in a room. I'm not saying in the same room. I'm saying, like, there was a 2-bedroom house or 3-bedroom house, and both of us lived in one of the rooms. You know, we still know each other, and we're still living together, and we're still saving more money than we would if we were, like, living in an apartment. So, in my opinion, I think moving forward, maybe some guys should really consider that, because I think what matters now is having enough money to just live your life. Because the fact of the matter is, I think you should be trying to just save as much money as you can, and using your money to find ways to, you know, acquire skills to make more money. Like, one of the things I'm going to do here is I'm not going to be leaving this job anytime soon, right? But I am going to try and get my forklift certification, and I'm also going to consider security licensing, you know, and I'm also going to take classes on video editing, because I need a backup. I think a lot of guys in general need a backup right now, because there's no such thing as job security anymore. There's no way of knowing if a company will just let you go, and especially with the work market now, because, you know, especially if there's, like, you know, females on your work staff, if they just suddenly start feeling funny with you, and, you know, and you get reported for harassment, even if you didn't do anything, like, someone's just mad that day, you get screwed. So, yeah, like, they have all these anonymous, like, report lines and stuff like that, and I think that's ridiculous, by the way. You know, one of the things that they were showing me with the onboarding was this anonymous line that you could that you could report, can't even speak, you know, harassment to. And on one hand, I understand it, but you have to also understand that you have a right to face your accuser. If someone is accusing you of something, you have a right to face that. That's in the law. You know, people might try and fight you on that, but if you can actually, you know, show them the section, they have no choice but to, you know, go by that. Someone is essentially saying that you harass them, and they aren't saying it, you know, like, they can just say it anonymously. That's not fair. That's not fair, especially when money's involved, because this could get you fired. The accusation is enough. The accusation is enough, and that's not right. So you have to protect yourself with job security by having skills that are harder to come by, you know. So learning to drive a forklift will put you in a category of people who can actually operate a forklift, you know. getting a security license increases the chances that you'll actually, work in security. So I think that you guys got to start thinking like that. And I'm not saying this is some guy who's got it all together, guys. Again, I'm just some guy that's finally had an opportunity, and even then, I'm concerned. I'm worried that maybe this is just fake. Because nothing ever really goes well for me, so maybe I'm only even going to be here for a short span of time, and then something's going to happen and I'm going to lose it. I don't know. I really hope that it's not the case, but I've never really had anything positive long-term happen in my life for a very long time. It's always just been something negative, and even when I think something's starting to pick up positive, something negative happens. So I just don't really hold my breath anymore, But I'm really hoping that it'll be different this time, but I'm not going to allow false hope to stop me from trying to protect myself in other ways. So, yeah. I think I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I want to say this again, guys. There is life beyond your pain. And trust me, my life's not all together. I still have tons of stuff that I'm fighting and I have to deal with. But I feel like if this goes well, that I will actually be able to start again, putting the pieces of my life together. And I know that I'm not the strongest person in the room. I know I'm not the smartest person in the room. And if I can do it, I know that you can too. You just have to hang in there long enough. So, as tough as it is, and I'm saying this from personal experience, guys, keep fighting, keep hanging in there, because it can get better. I don't have the date, I don't have the time, I don't know when it will get better for you, but it can get better. So, let's both just keep trucking along the best we can. I want to thank you guys for listening again. God bless. I will see you guys next time.